Just say it on paper.
I wish that I could freely dream and be judged from within, haunted by a power that cannot see past my skin. My views are viewed as ignorant, my truth.
All right, welcome back to At the Round Table with Mamley. I'm your host, Larry Ellison, in studio with my brother, Dr. Bradley. It's very spirited and heartwarming. This is At the Round Table.
Absolutely. That's why we have it this way.
Absolutely.
You sit around, you're having your conversation.
Wouldn't want it any other way.
You know, good food for thought.
That's right. And if you want to be a sponsor of the broadcast, you can give us a call at 617-282-0685. 617-282-0685. We're going to be proud to be announcing shortly. We have a new advertiser. One of our guests that was on our show is
Really?
now going to be sponsoring.
That is great.
The broadcast. So, folks,
that is great.
We want to thank Mamley because you cannot get this type of engagement. You cannot get this conversation anywhere else on a Saturday morning.
Anywhere else legal, anyway.
There you go. We wouldn't do it any other way.
We wouldn't do it any other way.
Right?
We are cops, you know.
Yeah.
Retired and active.
But still, we're law-abiding citizens.
Yeah, exactly. But this is critical information. And this platform is absolutely essential because you will not get this anywhere else on the dial.
No.
And so we need to cherish this resource and support this resource.
Imagine if we had this type of dialogue on Monday through Friday, so people could hear it every day, and that's what it's really the repetition, the consistency. You know, like you said, once a week is not enough to reach the people, because folks, there's a different type of people that are up on a Saturday morning than there are during the week. People are in their cars, drive time, and the word spreads. It's a lot easier to turn something on every day than to remember on a Saturday morning. But we're going to do what we can do. And with that said, we want to thank our sponsor, Guarantee Rate Mortgage. For all your mortgage needs, give branch manager Cora Holberg a call at area code 781-342-0252. Guarantee Mortgage is located at 75 State Street in downtown Boston, Mass. Guarantee Rate Mortgage Company, guaranteed to exceed your expectations. Jamal, are you still with us? Do we have Jamal still?
Yes, I am.
So Jamal, you heard that passionate and emotional, that impassionate and emotional plea from Priscilla Flint. On her frustration, and rightfully so, because I feel it as well. And I was saying, when we lost Billy Celeste and we're losing, Minister Don's health has declined, and we're always hearing about, some of our folks who are in this fight are no longer here. And most recently, Makia Baker Gomez. We only have a small amount of time. We're dead longer than we're alive. And yet, good.
Well, I was just going to say, y'all are in a church. Let's have a little church moment. Because literally, like, hearing that from Priscilla, hearing the pain and the loss and everything, that stuff brings tears to my eyes as well.
I'm sitting here trying to keep it together because I know it's raw. Yeah. Go ahead, I'm sorry. I didn't want to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Then I had to laugh because I thought about the last conversation Mukia and I had, because she used to be on my butt. And, and I think back about the spirit and everything. So it goes back and forth about being sad, but also happy and glad. Like, Mukia was a very vibrant spirit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She was a firebrand. You know what I mean? But yeah, and so that's in many ways that's how she and I connected. But what I say to that is what Priscilla talking about, and feeling as though all this is, how can I say it? I don't want to be disrespectful to any people. To me, this is the failure of what has happened in the black organizing community in the city of Boston. Because what ends up happening, in my view, is that we don't have anything that replenishes the well. We have a well, we drank all the water's low, and we never thought about any type of replenishing of the well. And even though it's been a point of discussion over the years, and there's been attempts and all this, but now we have to go into the sincerity or the actual merit of our attempts.
Right.
Because what has ended up happening is that black organizing, the black movement, black revolution, whatever you want to call it, has become now so convoluted, so disjointed, because, in my view, of lack of principles, lack of accountability, lack of any overall structure that could bring us together cohesively. And then the expectation is that we're going to have unity without a conformity of foundational principles. We're lost. We're in chaos.
Right. No, we're in a crisis mode, and that speaks to that, because even like relationships like you and I have, Jamal, they're not supposed to happen. But the reason why part of that is because of your relationship that you formed with people like Billy Celester, right? You don't have a distrust of police. You have a distrust of bad police, right? And it's like all of us should. It's just it's no different. So you find we have more in common, right? We both want to help our communities. We both understand the need in our communities, and so we partner together to try to address what we can, just like I do that with other folks. And if people have a criminal behavior, whether I was a police officer or not, that's not something I'm going to involve myself with. But what I'm seeing is I, just like Priscilla was saying, I've kind of thrown my hand up. It's like, you know what, I'm going to continue to try to do what I can to try to help, but I'm not going to, I'm not going to give all my time and see nothing return for the investment. That's just insanity. We're going to grab this call. Jamal, stand by. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the round table. Is she there? You got her? Yeah. So, Priscilla, you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, so like I said, I don't know if you heard what Jamal was saying. He felt the same emotion I was feeling. I feel your pain, and it was, like I said, trying to keep it together here on the broadcast. But was a very emotional. I don't know how you can hear what you were saying and feeling and not understand, right, the pain that you're going through because someone who you love and you've just lost. That we have all lost. That Jamal was saying, I've had many encounters with Makia, and she's like that mother figure, someone you had respect for, and you wanted to make sure that person, that she was okay. And you see the work that she's done, and she's left this earth, and we're still don't have people, not because she'll never be replaced, but people who are willing to step up and give just a tenth of what she was giving. Like I said, she was preparing for another community event, trying to help our people to the end.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm telling you, when I say my heart is broken, my heart is broken. I've been working with Makia over 30 years. I met her working on Gary Saunders' campaign. My brother Kenny, introduced me to her. And we have been friends ever since. We have worked on many campaigns together. Every organization I was a part of, Makia was a part of it. Mm-hmm. I just, it just hurts so bad, And then for our community to be going through what we're going through with this school movement, with the school committee, with the deed restrictions, with the 400 units that 400 parcels that she wanted to give away because, but they were stolen from black people. There is so much that she is doing that I don't understand why we as community don't see it and don't understand it and won't stand up.
Right. And
if we don't stand up, if we as black people do not stand up and come out and vote, then well, they always say you get the government you deserve, right? To that point, look, Madison Park, if you really, and where the people stand, right? T. Michael Thomas has been trying to give him the piece of land there at Townsend and Warren Street, right? They gave him no resources to try to put that. Now, that would have been a new structure. If you wanted to put something in the community, right, that was going to address that aspect of it, right? The vocational part, that would have been a good investment of that $50 million, right? To put that there, because the enrollment in Boston Public Schools has declined. When I first started working in there, it was 75,000 students. We're down to about 47,000, and the truth be told, it's probably closer to 46, right? They're closing schools, right? They're closing the middle schools. There are no longer any middle schools in the city of Boston, so they're closing. So what are we investing in here? So with them closing them schools, what are they going to do with them?
You have to ask them that question. That's what I'm saying.
They need to give them to us.
Yeah, those will probably be on the block for some developers. They'll be expensive condominiums.
Exactly. They're not going to give those away.
So the thing about it is that we do have black developers. We do have black contractors. We need to be combining our resources.
Right, but they don't get the opportunity. Like Cruz Construction is one of the companies I have a lot of respect for. He is black and unapologetic for it. And he has been very supportive in our community, hiring. But he's probably one of the few.
And even with him, he has to be weaved into the RFP in such a way that the overall contractor, the general contractor, will have to be required to hire a black subcontractor.
Right. So
I hear what you're saying, but again, I'd like it right back to the lack of community participation, the lack of community concern, the lack to as relates to community voting. This whole feeling around the apathy. Or that
someone else is going to do it for them.
Yeah,
and the people that are doing it for, we're running out, we're losing them, right? Yes. That's why you don't see, that's why when Priscilla said it was her and Siddiqui at the press conference, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Where are the parents?
Yeah. Watch this now. Neither one of them have kids in the Boston public school system. See, that's the hit. The parents who have kids in the Boston public school system should be out there with arguing for the fact that they should not move it. Let me tell you another thing, and I made the statement after we got off the air here, just for a break. This is the forerun to gentrification. Yeah. This is what it looks like. I'll let education go. I will let crime go rampant, and so the value of the homes are depressed. Mm-hmm. And so now people who are owning the homes for generations will be willing to sell them to investors, and they will sell them to people who do not look like you and I. Think about the South End back in the 60s and the 70s, and look what it has happened to it now. Well, this is the forerunner to gentrification.
Well, people said, because that's what when Siddiqui was saying, and like I said, it's not disparaging, when he was saying that this won't happen, and people said that same thing about the Harriet Tubman building, right? Down there in the South End, right? That would never be developed, that would never be torn down. Well, guess what? They're high-end condominiums now. That was the last vestige of any footprint that we had in there that we could say that black people could go and feel welcomed, right? That is no longer there, right? They said that would not go by the wayside. So if that couldn't stay down there, you think that they're going to not move that school over there? It's not. It's going to happen. Priscilla, I want to get into a little bit. You talked before we got off the call earlier. The budget, right, and what that's looking like. Because, like I said, show me your numbers, and I'll show you your commitment.
I'm telling you, it's when I saw this budget, I was floored. I have it here. I just got to move this mouse over here because it's a 72-page document, right? And City Council Tanya Anderson broke it down. Okay, and that I can send it to you. Pastor Hobbs has it because he's part of the block. All the block members have it. And the bottom line is we need to look at this budget, go through this budget, and figure it out how we're going to work within this budget. But we need to know what's in the budget. Yeah. And the fact that Michelle Wu is given all this money to Chinatown, all this money to Charlestown. I mean, the way it's broken down is like, it's unbelievable. Boston Public Schools get 34% of the budget. Public safety, 60%. Pensions, 9%. 41% all other expenses. I want to get to the part where, so it was 1.45 billion Boston Public Schools. That's increasing by 5%. Projected increase of city services such as police, fire, public works, housing, and other central funds, 67.8 million. The housing cabinet is growing by 13.6, including 4 million investment in quality pre-K seats for 350 students. That's 12.4 million. An additional 1 million increase for library personnel in community libraries. That's 1.3.
Okay, so I just want, because we got some calls on the line I want to get to. So again, the crux of it is that the budget is increasing, but our situation is not getting any better, right? There are things in it. If you look at it on the surface, it looks like it's a proposal, but then you have to go down into that and see who's benefiting from this, right? So even, I know it wasn't, there was something in there about cutting police budget, right? So in a time when things are as bad as they are, right? You're talking about cutting public safety. Who's going to be impacted by that? Not the folks in some of these neighborhoods, these more affluent neighborhoods, where, like I said, geographically, West Roxbury is probably one of the largest areas of land mass, right? I worked out there. I mean, it has the fewest number of officers assigned out there. Mm-hmm. Why can they get away with that? Because the crime and I'm glad that the community is not inflicted by the same violence that some other communities are, because none should be. But they don't have the number of officers assigned there that you might have 5 or 6 officers on a day shift in West Roxbury.
In fact, in addition to that, they don't have the youthful officers assigned there. Usually that is a spot for officers who are in the twilight of their career.
Right.
And they're getting ready to move into other areas and retire. So that speaks volumes to how they assess crime in the city. Why can't we have that same level, a lack of crime in other areas of the city?
But yet you're allocating more resources to these areas, right, of dollars into these areas that are not,
Well,
so,
I just want to say that Chinatown is getting the most money, over close to $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
400 million, I'm sorry. And then next you have downtown, Charlestown is getting close to 300 million. Mm-hmm. While, let's see,
and those are neighborhoods that have already been gentrified, right? Unless you live in public housing.
And voting.
Right, in those neighborhoods.
Voting.
Right.
Let's get this comment, and then we'll grab this call right quick. Go ahead, Pastor.
All right.
Pastor Hamilton says, our apathy as a people is the result of systemic oppression. We have to inform and educate our people. We need to mobilize our students as well.
Well, good luck with all of that. I'm not saying it's good luck. Good morning, caller Terrence. Welcome to the round table. Thanks for waiting.
Good morning, my brothers. How's everyone doing?
Our sister's on the line. Good.
Oh, that's right, sis. She's still with us. How you doing, Sis Priscilla?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, fantastic, awesome, amazing, blessed, and highly favored.
Oh, Dr. Bradley's got that copyrighted.
Yeah.
I saw you on TV. You and Pam.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Who's this?
Terrence Williams. Go ahead, Terrence. You wanted to say something?
I'm great. First, you know what I'm saying? I got to get honor to God. I'm sorry for going off topic, but I just want to get honor to God.
No, that's not off topic.
That's never off topic, brother. That's never
off topic. Yeah, for blessing me, for over 40 years, finally getting a pardon from the governor for a horse play around in a school that me and my friend, was doing. Finally getting a governor's pardon.
Okay.
So, I just want to say thank you.
Congratulations.
Holler at me. I need one of them.
Listen. I'm going to be the poster child for this because it's the conversation I had with the governor. I'm like, there's a whole lot of brothers and sisters out here who just want parties to change their lives. Mm. A lot of people don't want to become law enforcement officers. A lot of people don't want to carry firearms. But that's some of the procedures you have to go through, in the policy that they'd be like, okay, well, you know what? We just don't give pardons to get pardons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Unless you're a different race or different, and that was the thing that stopped me because I've been working since 1990 on getting a pardon. And that was one of the things that kept me we just don't get pardons to be given pardons, and then they say, if the police headquarters give you a letter saying that they'll give you a firearm, then we'll consider it.
All right. Well, Terrence, again, congratulations on that. But I want to get your way in on this whole thing with the city, the school, this budget. that we're talking about here. You know, the money that's being allocated to certain communities, and then there are communities who are losing things. Like, for instance, we're talking about Madison Park Bryant being relocated to West Roxbury, one of our premier exam schools here in the city of Boston. And the only people that seem to be bothered by it was Siddiqui and Priscilla.
Yeah, apparently.
But see, you know what? But that is the problem. That's the problem that we have in our community. We keep saying, okay, no, we need to educate. We need to educate. We need to educate. You know what? God said, you know what? I'm gonna let y'all, be out there in the land, Brian, and I'm gonna, and your kids are gonna, reap. That's what we need to. We need to just grab these kids who are fearless, who are out here, who are working, because it seems like the parents don't care about their own kids. You have people who don't have kids in the school system out here fighting stronger for other people's kids when they're just sitting home like, yeah, okay.
Well, I
they're
think
not going to be happy.
A perfect is Dr. Bradley and I both drove into the city today. Why? To try to educate, to try to engage with folks and try to help uplift them, and also, but to empower them to help themselves. These issues are not so germane in our neighborhoods, right? I mean, my daughter's last day of school yesterday. It was just celebration throughout the whole town. Everybody was, having swimming parties, and my daughter. We had a huge event at the health club that we go to, a party, a pizza. I mean, it just the way it should be in this neighborhood. Just because you don't have to be in an affluent neighborhood.
But where do you live, brother?
I live outside of the city. Right?
I live outside of the city as well. It was the same thing in my neighborhood. So we don't have the issues that they have in the city.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, my brother, and I'll let you weigh in. I didn't grow. That's what I grew up on. Living in the city. There you go. Was that type of environment that I had to move out to get it
for my family. And that's the problem. I would like to see what we're getting in our respective community.
What we used to get in that, right?
What we used to get in the city. My grandkids who are living in the city, who are not in the Boston public school system, by the way, should be receiving that, should get that, and not have to worry about, am I going to get shot, or am I going to witness a fight? All these different things that we tend to do and tend to accept in our community.
Right.
But then again, listen. We are, and I agree with what the Reverend just said. Is around around conditioning, around the fact that we, as Black people, don't want to accept disturb the apple cart. Yeah. Don't want to make people uncomfortable. So we'll let someone else do the fight for us while we reap the benefits.
No question.
We have to get out there. Everyone have to engage in the fight. It shouldn't just be Siddiqui and Priscilla.
Right.
It should be numerous Siddiquis and multiple Priscillas.
Well, we have gotten conditioned to letting someone else do it for us, right?
Yes, we have.
And we're running out of people.
Because we don't want to disturb the boss, or we don't want to disturb the master.
We want to reap the benefits from it, right? And it's no different. Like I said, at Mamleo, many lawsuits I filed, and most recently, $40 million the state has to pay out, right? A lot of people who thought I was crazy, who wouldn't even speak to me, are now congratulating me because now they're going to benefit. I get that.
You're going to challenge the system. You're actually going to do that. Right. You're going to make all that. They're going to come after all of us.
Exactly. Now that it was successful, like they say, victory has 100 fathers, defeat is an orphan, right? Well, Mamleo today is a proud parent, but that's because of the advocacy. But that's because of what I was learned under the Billy Celestes and other folks who were willing to stand up for our rights.
But it would take more than one person to advocate for the masses. It's take the masses to advocate for themselves, Larry. If you're really going to get things to change, Mayor Wu will change. If she came to that,
she's made to change.
Yes, if she would have come to that, that press conference and saw, a sea of Black faces saying we want our school in our community, that would change.
But this is where I was saying, Priscilla, and I want to get, before we grab this other call, I want to get you to weigh in on this because I know you were advocating. I want to hear the other callers as well, Jamal. It's that people are advocating. In matter of fact, they voted for an elected school committee. That would have a huge impact. And as I alluded to earlier, why aren't people asking the NAACP, who are coming here in July, to weigh in on this most important matter of education?
Larry, I don't understand that either. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. I mean, that right there should be a subject that they should be talking about?
Okay, so let me ask this
Why
question.
are you coming here?
What's the agenda?
Okay, let me ask this question.
What's on the agenda?
Who would be that person
That speaks?
that actually contact the NAACP and say,
Tanisha Sullivan
Tanisha
is the
Sullivan.
president, the current president.
I would say Tanisha Sullivan.
She's the president.
Okay.
And
Michael Curry, who's
the regional,
on the board. He's a board.
Okay,
Right?
Yes,
so why does the
that's
community
who we
reach
need
out to
be
them?
asked.
That's who need to
And
be
Linda
asked.
Dorfina,
The
Yeah.
same reason why
who
they
has
don't.
a contract with them or something.
Right, is why, because the community doesn't reach out and there's no political price to pay for
That's
not
why-
being attentive.
See, the thing about it is that's why we need an organization like the Block. We need to bring all these organizations in together. And there's a way that we can do it if we can get them to agree. There's a way that you can do it, that these organizations can be aligned with what's the type of work that they do, and then when they're aligned with their organizations, then all the all the housing organizations come together, all the jobs organizations come together, all the education organizations come together, all the public safety organizations come together. All those groups come together and form one big group. Like you're saying, if there hadn't been a bunch of folks out there, we would be getting a different reaction.
Right. See, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Priscilla and Jamal. I'm get this call from Dick, and then I want to bring Jamal in. Is that there are states that are trying to have passed laws to disenfranchise, to limit our voting right. And the sad part is that they don't need to pass laws here. We're doing it to ourselves. We're doing it to ourselves. We're disenfranchising ourselves with a right that other people are fighting to try to keep. We have it and won't exercise it. Dicko, wanted to hear from you, and then I'll bring Jamal in.
Yeah, for the educational piece, over a century ago, we as black people did our own homework. We educated ourselves. We didn't need any outside influence, i.e. the white establishment, to educate our own kids in helping us become better citizens, knowing how things work. But through integration, which is one of the worst things that did happen to black people, this is the results that produce out of it. Also, when it comes to black people, let's face it, I'm going to call it what it is. Some of us, not all, but some of us have been so intellectually lazy, politically programmed to fall for a Democratic Party that has done nothing for us for 6 decades now, and conditioned in knowing that we're just a bunch of people who just became consumers and now producers like we used to be, yeah?
Well, maybe, here's the thing too, Dick. If people stood in line to vote, they wouldn't have to stand in line for handouts, right?
That's well said.
Right?
That's well said.
Right. So that, which line do you want to, which
line do you want to be in?
The one that usually voting, if people are doing what you need, there's less time you're going to be staying in these other lines, right? But if you don't, Jamal, Jigga, stand by. Jamal, want to hear from you. You've been quiet.
Look, I don't know if y'all have ever done anything where you were committed to it, but you were just doing it wrong. Let's say you were trying to work out, and you were trying to, get buff, but you didn't know until somebody else told you how to isolate or whatever it was and do the proper workout for what you were trying to achieve, because you just had no idea. Your spirit was there. The motivation was there. You just didn't know what to do. So I think that for our community, a lot of what we suffer is, it's not a lack of passion. It's not the fact that our cause is not true. It's the fact that we are consistently stuck in using methods over and over again that do not work.
But see, right. But let me say this,
Well,
Jamal, right
I
quick.
was gonna
But your analogy is spot on. But here's the thing: it's like you just said, is that you were already trying to do something, and someone had. These folks are not trying to do anything. So at least like that gym analogy you use, I think is perfect. Is that you were trying, and somebody said, "Hey, if you want to, focus on your biceps, you need to do this. You need to do this." They saw you already trying. How many people can you identify that are trying to make a difference that you can go and now apply to what you just said is assisting them when they're not even trying? They're like, what are you talking about? I'm not doing that.
Okay, so this you're saying. I don't think that in Boston we're not short of organization. All right, and just to Dick's point, like what he said, like we waste a lot of time with the Democratic Party or whatever, right? But I think overall, just as a community, we're focused on, I think, a lot of the times the wrong thing. We have a bunch of organizations that are focused on this, that, the other. To Priscilla's point, if folks all came together, great. Like a guy like myself, I'm willing to come together. What are we coming together under? What's the foundational structure? Who's in charge? What's the hierarchy? What are the rules? And so on and so forth. So there's a lot of basic cleanup, I believe, that has to happen in our community before we can actually achieve this Shangri-La that we all talk about, this thing that is supposed to be unity or whatever. We got too much, crap in the game, I think, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Before we can even begin to get there. We have too many different people focused on different things. Some are trying to get the bag, some are trying to enhance their own self-image and whatnot, and we don't have any foundational principles, rules, accountability. If somebody violates, they get suspended, they get kicked out, they get silenced. So there's a lot of stuff there that we got to figure out.
No, to that point, like I said, and Terrence, I want to hear from you. I don't want to be in charge anymore. I don't have a problem being part, but I will not be a part of something that's going to waste my time. I don't have unlimited time any longer. It has to be laser focused, and it has to be an outcome. What's the outcome, that we're looking to get here? Not just coming in. We all know we can sit there and we can gripe. We have these gripe sessions, right? But what's the agenda and what's the outcome? I just don't see that type of organization happening in a way that is bringing more people in for the same cause. We don't find one issue and focus on it laser and then move on to the next. We're live in silos. We want ours to be the most important instead of working together to try to go at them one at a time. Terrence, Dr. Brady?
No, go on. You can talk. I'm still formulating my answer to your question.
Terrence, you still there? Did we lose Terrence?
Terrence might not be there, but okay, now that I have it. Right. So one of the things I think we need to do better is what the elders from our generation before us did, was share information with us about what the fight was all about, i.e. Billy Celesta, John Wells, and people like that, as it relates to policing in the city of Boston and what they had to go through. Because I think the youth is extremely energetic, and they have this careless attitude, that I think could be useful if it's actually corralled and used correctly to eradicate the issues that we're going through. So I think it's important that we educate the youth about what we have been going through during our lifetime and what is waiting for them.
Right.
Because.
But how do we? I'm gonna say I'm telling. How do we do that, Dr. Bradley? Because I think you're on target. Because there seems to be such a disconnect.
Yeah, I think there's places, grassroots organizations in our community that we can do that. I think that we need to get them more involved in meetings, and get them more involved in platforms like this, so we can educate them and then let them actually, because they have the energy to do it.
Priscilla has been doing that with the Marcus Garvey. Priscilla, I want you to Dr. Bradley, because he's talking about what you've been trying to do, but it's probably not as many people, young people, that are involved as you probably need to lead that charge. Fair to say?
Right. So it's called Marcus Anthony Hall Education.
Okay, I don't know why I always get it wrong. Okay, Marcus Hall. Okay.
And we've done our third cohort. We just graduated 10 students last week. A couple weeks ago. And what we do is we teach them about organizing and how to run for office and how to deal with reporters.
What you're talking
and
about.
So we have people like Professor Jermadari, Charlie Titus, James Mackey, Shadun. We bring these people in and they speak to the students. So we are actually getting ready to meet with the school. We get ready to meet with BPS next week.
Good luck.
To see if we can come up with some type of partnership or something.
Okay.
And our cohort starts in September. Okay. Our classes are going to be held at Roxbury Community College.
Okay. So in addition to that, sister, not to cut you off, but I'm over 60 and it doesn't reside long. So I want to make sure that I have this. In addition to that, you have to also talk to these students about how to move forward as it relates to organizing, and as it relates to the issues that they're going to get from the other side. how to respond to that, in such a peaceful way, so that they're not using the criminal justice system to annihilate or silence you. You know what I mean? I think that's where the issue is. That's where the solution is. It's got to be in our youth, because we have a generation of people of color, black people, who will sit there and just say, okay, you fight my battle and I'm gonna live the results. King sacrificed his life, but I'm still living. You know what I mean? And I'm living better because he sacrificed his life, but I'm not the one who sacrificed the life. We all have to be, in every war there's casualties. We have to accept that.
We would be literally lynched for what we say on this broadcast if it hadn't been for people sacrificing.
Exactly. We couldn't say that this broadcast couldn't exist.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know what I mean? It would have been seen as repudiating the Constitution or the government if we actually sit here and do it, unless we had people like King who actually fought for us.
So, Ditko, what are you doing, or what can you do to work with folks like Priscilla, like Jamal, like those of us here at the broadcast and at Boston Praise Radio and TV, to get our community moving in a direction that is positive, that is meaningful? Because, like I said, we're not getting any younger, and the folks that Priscilla are bringing in, that's well, but like I said, 10 at a time, we still have to get the folks who are already here engaged as well. We can't just put all that burden and that weight on our youth, because they lack the experience as well.
Well, we plan on increasing our numbers, and we got some plans. We definitely have some ways. We're also partnering with Not On My Watch Mentoring with Devon McNeil. We're partnering with him. We also are partners with Madison Park CDC. We're getting ready to start moving. We have our office.
So, Priscilla, I'm going to go to Ditko because I want to know, how can he help you with what you're doing? How can all of us help to increase those numbers? Because we need to increase. We are in a crisis mode. The other side has galvanized. They have said they have their leader, regardless of how criminal, how reckless, how irresponsible he is. They're sticking with him because he has in their mind their best agenda, their agenda in mind. We have to have that same, not the criminal aspect of it, but having that same mindset
and tenacity. Has that same level of tenacity, regardless. Making sure that your eyes is on the prize. They're doing it with DT. They'll excuse whatever he does because he is addressing the fears that they have. How do we get people involved? And we will stay focused on that individual, that one individual or multiple individuals who actually have our best interests in mind, and we'll stay focused on that.
That's what I'm saying. We need a significant victory. We need someone in this mayor's administration that they have always said no to in a leadership role that we know will be accountable to us. That's what worked for us. This is not a reinvention of the wheel.
No.
Billy Celeste, for instance, was that person in the police department. Jeep Jones was that person at City Hall. We don't have that.
Well, what we do today, though, Larry, is that we look at, does he look like me? Or does she look like me?
But
not really the character.
They say all your skin folks ain't your kin
folks. You can look like I am. You can be as almond black as you or coal black as me, but you still have the character. Is the character there? That's right. You know what I mean? To actually be a champion of the cause for the people.
Well, listen, Dr. Bradley's going to bring you guys home. I've got to run out of the studio, but Dr. Bradley's going to finish the broadcast with you guys. I want to thank everyone for listening out there, and God willing, we'll be back here next weekend. Dr. Bradley's going to take
I'm going to be in Aruba, though.
Oh, okay. I'll be here.
I mean, I have to take I got to do what a brother got to do, what a brother got to do.
Okay. So then you get the last 15 minutes.
So you can go, because I'm heading, after I leave here, I'm heading to Aruba. Well, I'm Dr. Bradley. I got it, Larry. You be blessed, brother, and have a blessed day. So to continue our conversation, Priscilla, so what do we do to get that and support that individual or a group of individuals who will be able to take our cause and move it forward?
So you asked me what will I do?
Yeah, what do you think? What is the plan in your mind? What should we do?
So what we want to do is we want to continue to train up these young folks, right?
Okay.
Get them politically active. we want to take them to City Hall, take them to the State House, teach them how to write testimony, right? We also want to give them, show them how to create resumes and create bios. We want to, we want to create we want to work with them around, telling their own stories, documenting their own stories. We're going to be partnering with Boston Praise Radio, the American Broadcasting, and we're also going to be partnering with GBH and BNN. So we're going to be going around with our young folks, showing them how to, like, filming these projects and stuff that are out of compliance, and documenting it so that when they have the BEC meetings every week, they can see all these projects that are not in compliance.
I'm going to make a suggestion, Priscilla, because I think this is also this is a key component to what you're doing. And by the way, I applaud you for what you're doing, because I think that is the answer to our problems, to make sure that the youth is actually engaged and the youth understand what we're going through. But I also think that another part of that would be working with or talking to the individuals who actually set the school curriculum in Boston around civic education. Do we have, because one of the things that I noticed it in my own community, is that there's a severe lack of civic education in the high school or middle school arenas. And I think that leaves way to stupidity as it relates to civics, as it relates to governmental functions and the purpose of government for generations of people who are now coming in to be adults who are voting and don't understand what they're voting for. So I think a part of that, understanding the agenda, understanding what our agenda is about, and making sure that we push it, to also have an individual who's well-schooled and well-educated in what is the function of government and how government function. That's just my hit. That's my hit.
Well, I appreciate that, because we need all the help we can get. But I think I'm looking forward to our next cohort, because we will be in a different space, and the fact that we'll be at Rochester Community College is even better. And we will be doing some other thing, you know.
Okay.
We will be putting on little mini Yajama mocks, you know, where we have vendors come and sell their wares and stuff, you know.
I hear you.
We have some plans to do some things, and we'll also be this summer. My youth will be out here door knocking, getting people registered to vote. They also will be at the malls getting people registered to vote. We'll be doing phone banking. We just have to make this an effort of get out the vote for all summer. We can't make it a weekend thing. It got to be from now until September.
And I agree with that. And that's the key, is that we just can't just stop it and say, okay, now we have started this. Okay, we'll see if it's going to get a life of its own and kind of move through osmosis. You know what I mean? We have to actually continue to, make sure that we keep our hands involved. I want to speak with Jamal. Jamal, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. What do you think, as it relates to how we can move forward with our youth and pushing our agenda?
So for me, what I've striven to do is just present information. I just think about myself as a kid. I was pretty much like I am now, pretty incorrigible. And so I just feel like, you can put a plate in front of somebody when they're ready for it, if they want it or whatever. But I think that one thing that we have to do is it has to be about the purity of what we're putting. So, for instance, I've developed a couple of book lists, film lists of the things that have gotten me to kind of view things the way that I view them. And I know a lot of kids never seen these documentaries or these films, or never heard this music or read these books. And so I used to put it on paper, but now I just I'm creating databases, spreadsheets, Google Docs that I can share with various people. And, you don't have to come to the Jamal Crawford School of Theology, right? You don't even have to talk to me. You just go watch this stuff whenever you want to. 1 o'clock in the morning with your boys, your girlfriend, whatever. I don't care. Here's the information, and then you get from it what you will. That's what my cousin did to me when I was about 10 years old. He saw me reading all these comic books, and instead of comic books, he put in my hand the autobiography of Malcolm X. That is literally why I am how I am today. Because the next thing I did was got on my little bike with the little, the little frilly things that used to hang from the handlebars.
I remember those.
And I drove down from Roofing Street on Humboldt down to Dale Street to find out, what this street? It's around here. And I was a little kid trying to find where Malcolm X lived. So the spark. And then all I will say on top of that is, once again, back to the first point of, I really don't care what direction people are moving. We just have to make sure that what we're attempting to pass on is the pure and the real deal.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, a lot of these kids are spinning their wheels. And right now, what I see from a lot of this generation, of young generation, they're getting off into a lot of sloganeering and, saying little cute little phrases, bippity bop, but there's no real basis behind it. Like a bunch of these people I've talked to about reparations. And they really don't understand that. Reparations. God bless these people. I don't want to hate on them because I want young people to be involved in reparations. But, by golly, I'd like them to be able to know how to spell it, know where it came from, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that right now we're doing a lot of this kind of fake it till you make it. So everybody's a super black revolutionary now.
Yeah. But
they
But I think it's also important, though, that we maintain a pretty good assessment of our history as it relates to the Black American experience here. You know what I mean? And I agree with you, Jamal. I'm thinking to myself, as you were saying, you were reading comic books. I said, to myself, today would be taking the controller out of the kid's hand and putting in a book in that hand to say, okay, understand what was meant by the Freedman Bureau and why that Freedman Bureau was important as it relates to getting slaves somewhere acclimated to being free. You know what I mean? Making sure that they understand, at a point, and all throughout the time of history when after the slaves were free, there were a push not to educate black people, but black people educated themselves. They didn't look to the school system to actually provide the education. The black community educated itself. You have black communities that were created by black people, that was important, like Mount Bayou in Mississippi. Places like that. So you have to know your history. I think it becomes important because the system that we're living in today will project that we have not made any contributions to it. We're just receiving and taking from it. So I think that I'm sorry, go on.
No, and to your point, so locally, like I'm a kid of the Omalu school. Once again, back to that merger of the Black Power movement along with the Black Arts movement. Now, anybody that been around Miss Omalu, she wasn't playing. I got my knuckles wrapped for being rambunctious. You know what I mean? But we were in that school and, learning drama and sewing, seamstressing, and seaming, and whatever it's costuming and cooking and dance and all these things. And my point is, we were not getting some bootleg version. We were getting the best of the best.
Right.
So some of the analogies I've used is I went to school, Mario Yamada, Harvard School of Science and Technology, when I was in high school. I took an aviation class. But now if we were going to form a school, what, am I supposed to teach aviation? No, brother. We better find somebody who's an actual pilot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Who has flown.
And that's the problem.
Yeah. Who has flown jets and have hours of flight. I hear you. Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah,
I know a little bit about guns. I know a little bit about public safety. But who should teach the class? Me or you, Dr. Bradley?
Yeah, it probably should be me.
You see? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I defer.
Yeah. Well, I want to bring Dictor in. Dictor, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on sharing the information with the youth and making sure the youth is ready to push that project, our agenda?
Yeah, I want to push back a little bit what Jamal Crawford said. That
Okay.
in life, there's always two choices. Now, you can either take the information or you don't take the information. Let's be clear about that. Not every young kid is going to take every information that Jamal Crawford is going to give to them or present to them. They either take it or they don't. I want to get that out the way. Number two, black people have got to have a back to what is called, or used to be called, a code of conduct. And a code of conduct is that black people know what's in our best interest, and that we use the practices and actions taken to make sure that we stay on that code of conduct. And for so many years, for too long, black people have lost that code of conduct. And even though Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, and a lot of black people who died made the ultimate sacrifice for people like us to express ourselves in a positive, productive, healthier way, in making sure that we can have future generations to make sure that they can put their stake in the world or make the world better from this miserable United States of America, the way things are going now with the Republicans, along with the Democrats. But again, we as black people have got to stop playing the same old games. We had to get rid of so many, I'll call it what it is, get rid of bootlicks, the sellouts, the pulpit preachers, everybody that's on the white supremacy's payroll, including some of us, because some black people do participate in white supremacy. I'm sorry, but I'm calling it what it is. Until we get those people out there and get back to a code of conduct and making sure that we as black people do vote. But let's be clear. Voting is one half of the battle. The second half is making sure that we as black people hold ourselves accountable and hold these politicians accountable. Because just like them, if we don't, then the same thing happens over and over and over again. No politician doesn't pay a consequential political price if we don't use our vote and make sure that when we vote, we do our homework, vote these people into office, and if they don't do what we want them to do, we want them out. I know it's not rocket science, but for so many black people who are still asleep at the wheel, it will never change. Until that mentality is finally broken in our minds, then and only then, black people can become the real people that this country supposedly want us to be, which was smart, intelligent, thoughtful, caring, loving people, not this stereotypical negative mess that we have today.
Well, I think you point to another cultural issue, though. I do agree with what you're saying, and I think I alluded to this several times in this broadcast and previous broadcasts, is that we got to be very careful about what we are allowing our kids to listen to in terms of their entertainment and their music. Because, and I'm just going, and I think I mentioned this earlier, I'm going back to when I was a kid, when you had, the message of black unity built into the music that we were listening to as kids. That is not in our music today. That's when I listen to the music that our youth are doing whatever they do. I can't do all those gyrations. I'm too old to do that now. I'll probably end up breaking a leg or pulling a muscle. But when I listen to the lyrics and you start to pull it out, you're talking some very mean and nasty things about people that look just like you. And one of the things that I think is important is that during the time of my youth, the black music was owned by black people. Motown was like the organization that was pushing black music. That's no longer the case. And in fact, I'm just going to jump a little bit here. I have recently learned that Tyler Perry bought BET, which I think is a good thing. By the way, I just heard that, that he actually, that's black owned again. But I think that would be my question to the people on the phone is that, what are your thoughts around that? Is that we have to be careful with, what our kids are listening to. I tend to forbid that type of music to be in my home when my grandkids are over. When I do have them, they are not listening to that type of music because I think it paints the wrong message for the wrong image, I should say, for our people.
I think I think Tyler Perry is bad. I mean, it's great to BET's in quote unquote black hands, but his hands is not promoting a lot of the messages that I find healthy for the black culture or family overall. I mean, it's modern day coonery. It's a lot of minstrel stuff. The dressing it like modern day Flip Wilson, the Medea thing, and all this. The blacks, horror story the Black Halloween and Black Thanksgiving, Black Christmas. I mean, it's just a lot of to be very trifling substance.
Yeah.
And
okay.
God knows he's made a pretty penny off.
Yeah, yes, he has. But I was, I hear you. I hear that, and I do receive that. But I'm hoping that the programming is, in particular, the Black news piece. That one of the first thing they removed when they purchased BET was to remove the Black news component. Which is
a little while ago.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard that they were going to bring. I think there was a rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. But Don Lemon, who got booted from CNN, was going to go over there and do the BET.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of try to revive the thing that the brother Ed Gordon, who you talk about, used to do. But I think at this point, BET is a failed experiment, and I think that we're going to see a deterioration in content. It's going to be much more. And he not only owns BET, but also VH1. So plan on seeing a lot more of the debauchery, reality shows, all of that type of thing.
Okay, well, listen, my time is winding down. I wanted to take an opportunity to appreciate, to thank you guys for calling in, and ladies. And Priscilla, I do feel your pain. But she's with the Lord, and she's definitely in a better place, and she's making a journey that we all have to make one day. So, to that, I would say, I just pray that the Lord comfort your heart, and you be thankful that He has given you an opportunity to be with her and work with her and do the things that you felt and you continue to feel that's important for our community. And I appreciate you. So thank you very much for the call. I'm going to tune out. I'm going to leave, and I'll probably be here by the grace of God a week after next. I'm going to take my wife off on a brief vacation just to show her that I appreciate her. And I see you guys soon, and ladies soon. Be blessed, and I'll see you next week. All right, God bless you. All right, be blessed. All right, bye-bye.
That anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard. So if I never see ya, never get the chance to meet ya, no, I came up from the bottom, always rooting for the underdog.
I wrote 300 songs in 1 year, Boogie will tell you I'm on it. I got unreleased songs for days, they don't want it. Eat any MC in the game, it ain't a challenge. If your music reflects who you are, then you's a coward. I can see through the lies, you ain't living what you spitting. If your money's so long, while your dog's in prison, while your baby mom's stripping, while your mom's still living in that same broken home that you used to sell piffin'. You ain't gotta lie to me to sell me a track. You ain't gotta rock fake jewels or walk around strap. I respect artists getting money, but love them for spitting crack. And the fact that one track can move a family out the trap. It's a dream for us lost souls brought up in the mix. I'm motivated by the artists coming out in my midst, and the artists that paved the way when I didn't exist. Music's a skyscraper, I'm just trying to add a couple bricks.
This is for the dreamers. They say I am a dreamer, cause I still believe that anything is possible as long as you work hard. Hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle real hard, hustle. So if I never see ya,